It's the second time that's happened, isn't it? It's set up for the mic to go, but then the mic shuts off on me. So there should be sound now. Hello, friends. It is Look It, friends. It's Vicky here. Technical difficulties will happen, but there's sound. There should be sound now. It's set up. When I go in here, it is set up for the mic to be on. And then for some reason, as soon as I hit the live, the last two, it's happened last time too, the sound went away. So it's crazy. It's crazy how the technology stuff happens. Can you hear me now? It's very frustrating. Like when you do all of the things and now I have to be, another thing to remember, right? When I go live is make sure that the mic button is highlighted, because again, I can't fix it. And then the laptop, I have to do it on my phone. So very excited that that worked. Hello, friends. How are we? Hi, Leslie, Meredith. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Kari. Hi, Laura. How are we, friends? Karen, Kathy, how you guys doing tonight? Did you have a good week? Like I said, I think I just have this feeling that tonight is going to be quieter. Hi, Natalie. How are you? We haven't spoke for a few days. Just life, going on around here. That's what it's been like. Life going on. Does anybody ever feel like it's the end of the day and you're like, I have no clue where that whole day went? I was working, I was doing things, but I'm trying to be very good and go to bed these days. Like not stay up, because I could stay up and craft and work and do things into the wee hours, like 4 a.m. and then get back up at 7. And I've been trying not to do that. I've been trying to. Sleep is important, right? You need to rest your body and rest your mind so that you can actually be a functioning adult. So I've been trying to do that. But I feel like every day I'm like, how's it Friday already? How did that happen this week, right? Hello from New Zealand, Michigan. Hello. Hi, Sharon. How are you? So, yeah, I've just been trying to do the sleep thing, right? The sleep thing is super important. So excited. You guys, a lot of you played last week. I didn't end up filming the video of the reveal because when I came down, when the paint dried, they weren't stuck to the sheet anymore, right? So I will show you some of my art from last week for our smooshing technique, where we use the plastic wrap, saran wrap, whatever you call it. It was fun. Tonight I'm going to be using embossing folders. So you do have to have a manual die cutting machine. So if you don't, you can just kind of hang out with us and do something else if you like. But I did want to talk about this one because I have tons of die cutting stuff I haven't pulled out in a long time. So with us doing our whole creative foundations techniques, I thought, what a fun one. Let's do the faux letterpress, which was huge. What's my book? What year did we decide it came out in? What did we decide? Well, I'll look at it again. I think it was 2013, was it? Was it, or 2010? Let's look. Got to find it again. It's 2011. So this book came out in 2011. I'd say probably in or around 3 or 4 years of that, this was a big technique. People were doing this all the time, using their embossing folders and adding inks and doing a full letterpress, which letterpress is that debossed design that's in a lot of stationery that has like bright or metallic inks that are debossed, meaning like it's a valley with color and the texture, and it is a super beautiful thing on stationery. So what a fun thing to do with our mixed media art. But with me saying that, if you are a tried true scrapbooker, I am going to have your back. I really want you to try these things, and then we're going to show how to elevate them and to add other things to them, to make background papers, to do some decoupage, to do some layering techniques that you could use on cards, you could use on layouts, you could use in your art journal, you could use in your altered items. So don't let that scare you when I keep saying like that scary term, mixed media. it is just mixing the different mediums and media to make really interesting things. And it doesn't, kids in kindergarten do it. So I feel like we can very confidently ride that mixed media train, bus, airplane, whatever you want it to be. So we have a lot of fun with it. And you guys did a great job with the smooshing last week. Like it was fabulous, the art that I've seen. I haven't been on social media very much this week. I had major issues with my Instagram and with my Facebook. I don't know if you guys have noticed, Facebook changed things, and then they changed my page where I wasn't the owner of my page anymore. And thank goodness, just literally from pushing buttons, I figured it out. And now I'm all connected again. But you might have noticed I put a like testing, just trying to figure this out because I couldn't literally post on my artist page. So it was craziness, but I figured it out. And I'm tech savvy in the sense that I've had to learn as I've gone along, but it's not like knowledge that I actually know I'm doing something right without breaking it. So I'm glad that I could figure it out. But early happy Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day, just for the love of love, right? It doesn't have to mean that it's a romantic love. I like to look at Valentine's Day as look at, my thing is love it. I love it. I love it. So I love that you guys are here, and in honor of Valentine's Day, I have my heart sweater on and my heart earrings. But I said to my mom, well, maybe I'll do something in reds and pinks. And then I decided not to. I decided not to. I'm going to do tonight, my color palette is going to be teal, blue, and green, because I really think there's something to be said with a somewhat monochromatic color palette when you're doing mixed media art, because it really makes building and layering color easy, because you're not going to make mud. So I decided that I wanted to do that. So yes, do you want to see? It's my heart sweater. Isn't it cute? So very excited about that. Hello, Paula and Robin. How are you guys? 2 Robins right in a row. So just things I want to cover as people are popping on here, because I know for some of you just finished dinner or you're just waking up, depending on what part of the world you're in. Next week, I'm going to put the pre-order up for Where To Next. I am going to find out if I can get some of the missing pieces that I need for the walkthrough. I don't have the paper pads yet. I don't have the washi tape. There are a few things that I don't have yet. So the walkthrough will be coming. With the pre-order going up, you can get in on that whenever you guys want, but I want to get it up there so that you guys know what's going to be in the kit, what things you need to replenish or fill your stock, stencils, stamps, all of that. So I'm going to get that up. And remember, I talked to you guys about the vintage class I'm going to do with a combination of the new Simple Stories and the new Bo Bunny collection. Brighton and Simple, I can never remember what the name is for the one from Simple Stories, but it's beautiful and butterflies. And I'm going to have a very limited amount of those kits. So be watching for that. It'll probably be the week after. I'm going to put that one up. And it's just going to be layouts. And I will do a live portion for that class where we do paper cutting and such. So maybe like a little mini 2-hour class to go with that. But it's going to be good. And I'm working on it for my friends in New Zealand when I come to hang out with Michelle, that I think that's what I should teach if we do an event in New Zealand, because I know you guys love your vintage and the layered and the butterflies, but then it's also bright rainbow colors like me. So I think it'll be super fun. Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Life in Bloom. That's the collection. So there'll be very few kits. I did not order what I normally do. It's just one because I like the collection and I wanted to play with it. And I thought, why not just make like a little mini layout class? But mini layout class, and it's going to be at least 10 pages, just so you know, because it's a big kit. It's still a big kit, like really big, because I wanted all of that stuff. Definitely, Pam, reach out with Michelle Widows. We're in the process of working on that, but Michelle's had a rough week, so we just haven't ironed out all of those details, but it's coming. Okay, it's coming. So it's going to be so much fun. And the other thing, you scared me. Get out of here, sidecar. You just scared me. He just ran around the corner like a weirdo.
I heard you talking about the cruise.
I hadn't even got it out of my mouth yet.
But I wanted to know if they know I'm coming on the cruise.
Okay, just get out. Like, your timing is terrible.
And you're gonna
you cannot be in Laughing or Saturday Night Live or anything. Your timing is atrocious.
And you're going to be there too. Tell them that. That's funny.
Anybody want him for Valentine's Day? That would be the gift you could give me, is take my husband away for a month or two and just fix him. So he's all yours. Fix him. So anyway, what I was going to say before his timing, I hadn't even got it out of my mouth and he came in. He should have came in like 2 minutes after what I was going to say. So what I needed to share with you guys is, did you notice on Cruise and Crop that those Caribbean cruises are up there? I see a lot of you guys have booked. There's still spaces left. And the other thing to keep in mind, one of the things I saw as feedback is that, why are they short? Do both cruises. That's really how it was intended. They have, one is a 4-day and one is a 5-day. So for people who really can only get away for a weekend, then you have options. But I put it so the two, I thought 4 and 5 days, a lot of you have already booked both, because we can do the mixed media, which the gel plate printing, we're going to make scrapbook pages out of it. So my tried and true lovers of paper crafting and scrapbooking, have no fear. We're still going to do things, even though it's called like an art or mixed media class. It is going to be a lot of fun. But for some of you guys that were concerned, like, why isn't it a full week? You can book both cruises. All we have to do is, my friend Jody, I see, is doing it, is that you just have to get out, go through customs and get back on the boat, but you can have your same stateroom. So it is an option for my friends who are looking at both weeks. So I did want to share that. Again, that is cruiseandcrop.com, and all of the details and information are there. It will be fabulous. Huge kits, lots of things to learn, lots of fun, connecting with community. So if it is something you've been thinking about, it's an option. So you definitely, that's what Scrapbook Sister is saying, that she booked the 5-day. You definitely can. And my only thing is that the people were like, I wish it was longer. You can book back to back. I'm going to be on there back to back. I think a couple of our friends are going to be on there back to back. So it is an option. Okay. So I just wanted to share that, and I'm going to flip the camera and I'm going to show you some of the things that I was working on, and some of my results from last week as well. So you're back to back. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. So I would like to flip the camera and get started. So let's do that. I'm glad the mic is working and I worked out the bugs that are never a lot of fun. How we doing? Everybody can see we're here. Who's going to play along with me tonight? I'm sure a lot. I know it's hard on a Friday night, right? At 8 o'clock Eastern time, if you're in my time zone, to sometimes pull out all the craft stuff. So I know some of you will be watching after the fact and doing. Some of you guys just joined me tonight for the company, which, thank you. I love having you here. And then others will play along, right? So it's super exciting. Leave tomorrow to see Adele in Vegas. That's very exciting, Kristen. That is very exciting. I've seen a lot of videos from that concert series there. I think, does she have residence? I don't know how long she's there, but I think that's going to be a great show. So a little sip, and I know you'll be playing along, Irene. You always are making beautiful art. So let's talk about some things. So I started doing a little bit of prep. Ooh, let me turn my one light source here. She's, has residency. It's going to be good. It is raining in Florida. It has just been dark and yucky around here for so long. we did have a beautiful day. I went and visited my friend Valerie Wagner, who is part of our community here. And that was wonderful. We had beautiful sunny day. And now I'm ready to play with you guys tonight. So let's talk about last week for a second, just because I couldn't show you some of the pages I had done. And I love the stuff that you were sharing. So we did the smooshing technique last week, right? So I'm going to take photos of these and I will post them on the Vicki Boutin Creative Community Group page on Facebook and maybe on my blog, vickyboutin.com. So you can find these things. Natalie, is the Simple Stories layout class posted yet? It is not, Pearl, because I just secured product. So the Simple Stories order actually shipped today. And I just have to confirm my order through American Crafts for the Bow Bunny. So it's coming. But we did like really some fun things, right? Like the technique on this is the black gesso and watching how your paper can really make a difference. And even when I was looking at some of your results, like you got some amazing results. And I love the learning. Someone on there had posted, and I apologize that I can't remember who it was, about the steps they went through when they were in the process of creating the art and things they learned. And that to me just makes me have tears of joy, because that really is the part of the process, is playing and then discovering like, ooh, if I would have had gesso on that page, I would have got different results. With paint, this is what I get. With ink, this is what I get. So really, that is why we're not doing like a start to finish project right now. It's more about going through the steps of learning all of the techniques. So that one was black gesso and plain paper. And then look at it on distress collage medium, which has a little bit of a glossy finish. And then look how the medium sat on there. And then on the Vicki Boutin gel medium. So very pretty with the gold on there. Looks like a brain. Looks like a brain. I love that. And then we did them in the whites, right? And we got different. And this is the one I had done. And then notice a fun technique that was happening, because a distressed collage medium actually resists the distress ink. So I was using oxides on this, and I saw a really fun technique happening where that medium was going. And I'm going to show you a bigger sheet that I did. So then gesso, and then the matte acrylic gel. So it resists. So does, see right here, look at that. That's a little bit of beauty right there. And same with the collage medium. It resists a little bit the ink, right? So fun, fun, fun. The book paper result, very pretty, very subtle, but I love that with the gold. This is probably one of my favorites. I love this pink, the pink and the purples, and then that gold veining on there. So got some really, really pretty ones, right? And that was where we put the fluorescent texture paste directly on the saran wrap or plastic wrap and added it to the page, right? Instead of putting the medium on the background. So I love that this like almost looks like Transformers or something, right? Or chunks of ice. Very, very fun. And then, right, the subtleness of this, look at how pretty that is. And that was the two different types of oxide ink. Love it. Oxide ink. Well, oxide and distress, regular distress, but love it. And then this was with the Deco Art Media Fluid Acrylics. And I really love how it almost looks like icicles in there, right? Now, here's the bit I want to share about this. Because these are acrylic paints, even when I lifted the plastic wrap off and it was pretty dry, there was still tackiness to this because it has to cure. Acrylics don't dry per se, they cure. So it turns to harder plastic, right? So now that they've been here for a week, oh, it's so pretty, right? But when I first took the plastic wrap off, there was some tackiness to it. So I really love how that one turned out. This was one where we took the, when we lifted the saran wrap off this, I applied it again because there was so much paint on there. So that's why they look like just kind of little bubbles of print. This is found or on watercolor paper, way more porous. You're not going to get the crispness that you would on foundations, but it's still beautiful. This will be a base of a layout. So this is going to be the start, like layer 1, and then we can add on there. This was with the matte acrylic gel and distress oxides, and then the gold. I love how that one turned out with the resist. It almost looks like it says hi on there. Funny. And then these were the little strips that we did, which will be a base or we'll cut out. It will be one layer. That was watercolor paper, foundations paper. Love it. Right? We got some really, really fun results. I have to show you this one. Can you see the bubbles on there? It's my favorite part of this whole thing. So this was when we had put the acrylics on the sheet of plastic and then did the twist. And even though it was a lot thicker, I really love how this one turned out too. And this one is kind of a favorite. Look at how fun that one is. And like I said, the paint was really thick here, but after all the moisture left it and it completely cured, I love the effect. So I am loving, I'd have to say my favorite results were from the acrylic paint. I like the acrylic paint results the best. And I am going to go in and do a couple of these in monochromatics. Like where, but even like, look, if you cut it down the middle, it doesn't have to be a rainbow. But I really like these because they're going to be layered, that the quieter the patterns and the colors, I think the more impact it has. So that was last week, the smooshing. So if you were not able to see that, it is recorded. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on my Facebook artist page. And I hope that you guys take some time to play along. It is really fun. So tonight we are going to look at, as we open the book, look at, I feel like it's like story time or something, right? We're going to play with this, the Faux letterpress. So like I said, this book was published back in 2010. So I was actively working on it probably in 2008, 2009. And this technique, I still feel like it's a fun one. And like I said, you might have done this like 10 years ago. It was out there. It's probably all over YouTube and stuff too, right? Hello, Danielle. How are you? But I love this. So I did it on a card here. And there are probably more details at the back where we mixed techniques. But for right now, let's look at this one. I'm going to show you what I played with tonight and then talk about as I was playing. Oh, look it. Do you remember we had taken the saran wrap that had paint on it? And I said, look, you could just kind of smoosh little kisses. And then I just doodled a flower. So for what you might look at and think is trash, I look at and go, no, it's opportunity, right? This didn't look really pretty on the background. Aloha, Anita. But love how this turned out. I just stamped it with a little bit of script and then I hand drew with my marker a little flower on here. So that is a really fun thing when you put kind of a little bit of pigment down and let it just kind of be organic shape that you can then design a flower around it. So I like how that turned out. And that was just because I was just messing around, right? Just playing with the things. So for tonight, I got out, do you guys remember? And I have a whole box of these I will end up listing in the store because we're working on updating the store next week. And I have a whole set of these that I'm going to put on like dirt cheap prices because I bought a case of them when they were clearing them out at American Crafts. So this is the one time that Vicki Booten did embossing folders, and my fake fingernails, I can never open them. So there. So I like the size of these because they're a little bit bigger, right, than your standard. But what I love is for mixed media art, I like very simple patterns. because when you're going to layer all of these patterns together, just simple repeated pattern is kind of magic, right? So I'm going to be using these tonight. And then I just grabbed a whole bunch of old Cuttlebug, Sizzix, Tim Holtz embossing folders. Okay, so that is the first thing. Brayers, I'm going to talk about the mediums I'm going to use, but I'm going to show you some of the fun things that I was messing around with. Look at, I love that. Isn't that fun? I love that. So this is with the acrylic, fluid acrylics. And I'm going to tell you that it was really my jam. So showing, I did the front and back of the folder to give you different textural effects. So we are going to make some patterns of paper tonight. So this is that Tim Holtz one with some pigment ink, or dye ink, some dye ink on there with a brayer. And I did a whole bunch because if it didn't turn out that well, I did it again because that's what we do, right? It's a piece of paper in our time. This one was the same technique, but then I added some distress ink on top, right? This one kind of shifted a little. You can see where the pattern kind of moved. So that's why I just kept playing with them. But look how pretty. This is distress ink on the negative side of the stencil. But do you see what I'm saying with going in with one color? If I have fluid, acrylic fluid, how do I miss it? If I have acrylic fluid, how do I miss it with acrylic to make it a fluid medium? So do you mean if you have acrylic paint, how would you mix it to make it fluid medium? You can't do it with water. You would need to have a extender or a clear fluid that is a different type of material to do that, Kristen. You can try it with water, but it might bead on your plate a little bit. But go with acrylics tonight. So take your acrylic, put a little bit of water in it, not too much, and let's try it. Let's try it. Oh, you have then you just mix them. I put it right down on your palette or whatever you're working on, and then just mix it with a brush. And we're going to brayer all of the paint on tonight. It's a pouring medium. Try it, right? Vicky, what is the ratio? I would say depends how thick your acrylics are, right? If your acrylics are like squeeze it out of the tube and it comes out like toothpaste, that's a heavy body acrylic. So you would need more of the medium to give it the consistency of this liquidy paint. Why I like these is they are fairly opaque, but for brayering, they're light. It's a light body paint, meaning that they're more viscous, so they flow more, or less viscous. Viscosity. Viscosity is resistance to flow, so they're less viscous. I think I'll have to look that up now. I just forgot. But you definitely just have to play with your consistencies to get a brayerable amount that has enough open time that it's not going to dry on you before you get your paper in there. When you're using acrylics, you got to move fast. Okay, because if the acrylic dries, it's going to glue your paper to your embossing folder. It's not the end of the world. You would just take like a toothbrush or a scrubber brush and scrub them. That's the plus with the embossing folders. They're plastic, so you can clean them. But did you like that? Got to move fast. Because if you don't, if you like are kind of farting around and you do it, you go to put it in there, you put it in your embossing folder, you put it through your embossing or die cutting machine, you go to open it up and the paint dried and it glued it to your plastic. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. But look at colored cardstock, you get a really fun effect as well. And then on the textured side, and oh, I love that. And that is with white pigment ink, but we are going to try it with, I grabbed regular acrylic. So I'll walk through it with you. I tried to grab a bunch of mediums, but when you put it, look at that is a dye-based ink. it was a purple ink, but when you put it on that turquoise paper, oh, I love it. How pretty is that, right? I love that. So the colored paper is fun. This is with one of the Tim Holtz 3D embossing folders, this guy here. So for the technique that we use, you're not going to get the same effect because this paper or those dies, pardon me, those embossing folders are so patterned. But this one, all I did was rub some with my brayer. Actually, I applied with my brayer some Distress Oxide ink. And look how fun. It's not showing really well. It's way peachier. But isn't that beautiful? And then this one was the white pigment ink applied to the embossing folder, and then only went on parts of it. And then I put the ink on top. And then that is on the other side. So you get some really, really fun techniques with that, right? Really fun techniques with that. So that's, I just kept playing like we're going to do tonight, putting different things on, seeing what results I was going to get. And then I love this one. And then, because this was the second time I did it. And then my intentions tonight are to practice different mediums with you guys so we can see how they turn out. But I want some of these just to be textural. We aren't trying to get, capture the rainbow tonight. We want it to be more of a subtle effect so that you could layer these, right? So, yep, I just kept playing. Look at the different things. So I used a limey green acrylic, fluid acrylic. And then on top of it, I put some Distress Oxide with a brayer. And look how fun that one turned out. And it's hard to tell, but see the texture on it? I love it. And that one's just the green. Very fun, right? So we're going to play. This one was kind of then taking it to the next level, what we could do. So we're going to play tonight. And here's what I'm going to say. So this was my takeaway. I didn't really like the script ones because I feel like the more detail on the embossing folder, the result isn't exactly what I wanted. So play with that. If you have multiple embossing folders, make sure you try different ones because I like that side of it, the quieter side. So these are just the ones that I played with and the results that I got. I love that one. We're going to I have a mister to mist on the folders. I have baby wipes where we can rub it on the paper to make the paper damp. We're going to do all of the things, right? So these are the folders that I'm going to use. I have this floral, which I like because even though it's busier, it's still a nice balance between open space and then where the pigment will go depending on size. This is the one I actually used in my book. It's kind of rings. I have this one that, I love that it's pretty much 50-50, right? It's a leaf pattern. And can you see it? A leaf pattern and then the open space. Polka dots, more polka dots, and then the floral. Okay? So for you're going to have to make sure that you look at your die cutting machine to decide, like if you're using the Tim Holtz or I think Alta New, a whole bunch of different companies. If you're a card maker, you'll have all of these have the different textured plates, like 3D texture, so they're thicker. So you will have to watch your setup in your die cutting machine, right? So you will have to practice with that to decide what kind of a sandwich you need to run them through. So be aware of that. For my papers tonight, I have cut up a whole bunch of different sizes because you have limitations, right? With the embossing folders are only so big. They're only so big. So you are going to be working in smaller sizes. And I cut up a couple of different shades of pattern or cardstock. So it has coloring on it. We can brayer color. We're going to do that tonight. Just brayer some color onto white and then put it in an embossing folder with another one. I love it. I have this sheet, although I'm going to tell you, embossing folders and thinner papers aren't necessarily friends. You want your paper to have a little bit more thickness to it because the pressure will often tear it, but I'm going to try it because I had put the medium on it last week, and we're going to see how that one will work. And then this is just a heavier weight cardstock. So I don't know, probably like a 110. And black cardstock, which is the thin one I had used last week. I will have to cut it. And then some foundations paper. So we're going to try a whole bunch of different things. Let me cut this black one quickly. There's 2 sheets of it here. And let's just do the things. So I just cut it in half-ish, right? It's not really perfect, don't care, because my intention is to cut these up, sew on them, die cut from them when we're done. But we are making pretty much a whole bin of papers that we can pull from and do some amazing things. So if that's when you're looking at it and going, okay, Vicki, I feel like maybe I want to get on board and do this with you, but please explain to me what we're going to do with this stuff. It's like having a whole box of scraps of pattern paper that you could then go and make cards from. You can cut die cuts, you could stamp on top. We can use some paint markers. We can use some stamps. We can do stencils, lots of things. Okay. So don't really think right now what we're going to do with this stuff. Just kind of jump in with both feet. So I have 2 different brayers here. I have some paper towels. I have wipes. I have a dye-based ink. These ones are from the stamp market. It's just because I bought the whole set, so I'm going to use these. I have fluid acrylics, and remember, this is my palette. White, black, and then some turquoise and blue and green. I'm just going to stick with a really simple pattern or palette tonight because I can't wait to see what results we get. So all of my inks are in blues and greens. And then I grabbed a couple of oxides, one in black soot, crushed olive, and uncharted mariner. And then I have a white pigment ink, a gold ink, and then some white acrylic paint and a mister with water in it. And that's pretty much, that's my tools. Those are my tools for tonight. If you die cut from paper that's been embossed, does the texture from the embossing get flattened with the die cutting process? A little bit, but not totally, because you know the memory in the paper won't spring back like that. So you still can totally die cut the texture, and you will still get beautiful results. So maybe a little bit because there is pressure there, but no, the texture will still be there. And maybe we'll do one tonight so I can show you. Just remind me, Megan. Okay. And I'll grab a simple die. I have some circle dies right here so we can cut that. So let's get started. So brayer is the easiest way to add an even amount of pigment without getting lines all over your art or having different amounts of pigment on the back, if that makes sense. The other thing that it does is it's a smooth, flat surface, so you will not reduce the risk of running your pattern, your pigment into the valleys, if that makes sense, right? Anything that's lower depression. By adding a thin layer with a brayer, you can have an even application and you are not going to press it into the artwork around the pattern. Now, I had grabbed a whole handful of Q-tips and I forgot them upstairs. So if you have Q-tips, super helpful, because if your ink gets in those spaces, you can clean it out. I will take maybe a paintbrush and try to clean it up. But yeah, I got them and then just realized when I came downstairs that they're still upstairs. So I have my die cut machine handy. And let's start with something just super simple. Let's just do it with ink to start. How we doing out there, friends? Who's playing along tonight? Let me see our comment situation because I'm not getting very many of them. This, I don't think I have to do live comments for this one, right? There. Okay, good. So we're still here. You guys are probably working, right? And that's when I'm like, okay, they didn't leave. You're still live. Nothing on YouTube. Everything on Facebook, but one person who's watching on YouTube. Please just, okay, good. There's Glenda. Good. Okay, we're good. Because now, you know, I'm going to be focused on the things and I don't want to be working away and the feed is actually not working. Hello, Keisha. I know a lot of you guys are here and maybe not doing what I'm doing tonight. You are just working on something else or you got your feet up. I will take you any way you come. So I am all right with you not working with me, but hanging out with me is magic. So when you open your embossing folders, right, you have a positive and a negative. And we're going to apply ink on both sides. We'll do one at a time just to see the results that we can get. Okay, let's start with this beautiful one called Island. And I am going to just load up my clean brayer with some ink. And what's nice with the pigment ink or the dye ink is that I'm going to get a nice even application and you have a longer working time, right? So I'm lightly adding that pigment. So see, it went in some of the open areas there. It's going to totally be okay. I'm just going to go with it. And I'm going to grab a piece of paper. So one of the questions, could you mist on the paper? You can mist on the paper. You will have an uneven amount of moisture on there. So not a bad idea to even take a wipe and then just kind of rub. You can rub water on the front and back if you want. This is foundations. So I'm going to put it on this side of my embossing folder and then I'm going to press it in there. And then we're gonna roll it through. So I will take my sandwich out. And then we'll put it through the embossing folder, put your lid on so you don't put your elbow in that. And then I have to stand up to do it, friends. Okay, it's gonna be a little thick bit. Look at that pop out. And then let's see what we got. Very fun. So that is debossed, right? So you can see the texture. So kind of a debossed effect on that one. And that is using the dye base ink. So let's try something else. I'm going to move this over. Try not to drop it on the floor. Let's see what happens if we take, so that one, why it popped through like that is the foundation's paper super thick, right? The foundation's paper super thick. So I want to see what happens when, let's put that same pigment, just roll it on the back of my card. Okay. And let's see what happens when we go in. Let's go in. Maybe I'm going to try the black soot on the embossing folder and let's see what happens. Now you got some business going on here. Like with the inks are more like more fluid. So do you see it's kind of got polka dots on there? You can see the pattern from the brayer when it went across the embossing folder. But there's a few different things. We could go with paint. We could go in with distress. Let's try this. Does it help to mist the thicker paper? You can if you want, but do it totally dry too. Like, I really want you guys to get in every question you have. I really think it's worthwhile to actually try it. If it is a question and you're curious of how it will look, I say, I'm going to put it on this side. I say, give it a try. See what result you're going to get. So this is not going to be super pigmented, right? Or super opaque because it's still ink. If we went in with paint, it would be super opaque. So let's see what kind of effect we get when we have pigment down. And then we are going to, I didn't miss the paper or anything. I'm just going to put that over, put that through, and let's see, is it wet enough? What kind of effect will we get with that one? So we aren't getting a white finish, right? I'm gonna have to stand up again. Just because the foundation's paper's thick. Oh, this one isn't. This is the thinner cardstock. So let's see what we get now. It is like a printing press technique, right? Because we're doing faux letterpress, which is exactly what that would be, is pressing ink into a background. Oh, I love that. So look at that. So you still can see the different patterns on that one, right? And if you didn't want to see any of that island color underneath, you would go in with acrylic paint. But I love that. Let's do another one of that in just the black. That is really fun. So what we're going to do tonight is, this is literally it. I'm just going to give my embossing folder a wipe, right? With baby wipe. And because I'm using black, that baby wipe just went right in the trash. Because guess what? It gets everywhere. And I'll get a clean one. I am loving, and I'm sure Natalie too would agree with me, the black is kind of magic. I would like to do that again. So let's see what happens with distressing. Let's do something so it's a little subtler. And I will just ink a background first. Let's grab some of my pattern papers. And I'm going to go in with that crushed olive and an ink blending tool. And I'm going to put down a little bit of pigment, and then we'll do that black thing again because I really love that. But what's it going to look like when it's a little quieter? Because that pattern has a lot of business going on, right? So for tonight, what should you be trying this with? Whatever tickles your fancy. Like, I would really, so maybe I'm just going to ink up in this kind of corner-ish. So this paper is porous, so it will pull a little bit of pattern, but let's just see what we get just by putting a little bit of that down. And guess what else we could do? Watch. Let's just go with this stamp in the same, oop, better give it a wipe. I don't think I wiped it earlier. No, see? If you're like me, always test. And let's stamp some tone on tone right into that pattern. That stamp was even upside down, and I'm totally okay with it. Okay, so what is Vicki doing? Kind of making a little bit of a pattern paper already, right? That we can then even go in if we want. take some of the pattern away. Watermark it. And then we'll run it through that embossing folder again with the black. Hi, friends. So let's see. I'm going to have to, because this could turn into a disaster fast, couldn't it? And now let's see what happens when we put the black. So what I want to be green are the circles. So I'm putting my ink on the side of the embossing folder that is more solid. That stamp is from Hero Arts, but it's an old one. I don't know if they have it anymore, but I have a whole bunch of stock. Just be watching, that is going to be stock. All those things that you guys watch me use that you have loved, that I have all sitting in the other side of this room, is going to be making it into my shop. So just be watching for that. So I don't want to cover everything, but I'm going to cover one side a lot. Maybe another layer. Oh yeah, love it. Okay, let's see what we get. So I'm going to put that in the corner because I want some of the area where I didn't really rub or put the ink on. Let's see. Do you think it's going to be good? Let's see. Is it going to be good? Make our sandwich. I'm trying not to move it around. I don't want my paper to move, or that's when you get kind of that hiccup where it is the pattern shifts. So just be careful, okay? Yeah, my arm exercise is in tonight for sure. So I'm just going slow so I get a nice even application of the ink. And let's see. I think Natalie will love this one. You ready for the reveal? Oh, isn't that pretty, friends? So look at that. Very fun. Very fun. I want to see now. Let's apply some paint on there. Well, I'm going to use what's on my brayer. So let's do something here. So remember, sometimes, right, you have a front and a back. So let's just clean my brayer off. And let's just put the turquoise cardstock in. If you want to wet it a bit, you can. Now, just keep in mind when you wet it, I'm going to rub that moisture around so it's not too wet, but your paper is going to buckle a little. So do you have to wet it? None of my paper has torn, and that's why a lot of people will wet or use a baby wipe, put some moisture on their paper, because they're afraid that the embossing will tear their paper. I didn't have anything that tore today, dry or wet, right? So let's see what happens. Just cleaning my brayer off for this one. Oh, look at Vicky, you're damn bad. It's not even on the, there. Don't do what Vicky did, right? Sorry, shaking the camera the whole bit because it is like, there we go. See, so these videos you watch a lot of times are voiceover ones, right? Where people are, I love that. Just cleaning, look at, because it was wet, so it leaked in there a little, but just cleaning off my brayer, right? So I love that on the pattern paper. So put that in my stack. And now I'm going to clean the brayer off. Get that black off, right? So this is just really the whole purpose for tonight is just creating a little bit of texture. So when you go to layer your patterns from all of the different mixed media that we're going to do, that you will still have textural bits that can create a lot of magic with your layering of technique. My fingernails, there we go. I'm going to clean this up too, though, because you know there's going to be some black on there, which could be kind of cool. Just kind of getting a hint of that leftover black just kind of gives you like little dirty bits. Not a bad thing. But you see why I love this stencil, right? Or this embossing folder. It's super simple. A lot of things when you are layering pattern, if it was all really super detailed, you would lose a lot of that, right? You'd lose a lot of it as you're working away. But loving these so far. This so far is my favorite because I love that the pattern in the background's a little softer, but you still see the hints of white. So very fun. And now we have front and back. So there's nothing wrong with doing front and back and then choosing the side that you like better, right? So what do you want to see next? I would like to show you, let's do this one because this is kind of a fun thing. So with the pigment ink. So got to make sure your brayer is clean because if it's not, you're going to deposit all of that pigment onto your white ink pad. So I'm just going to make sure I have been a good girl and I cleaned it as I was going, and this looks nice and clean. So let's do this on that dark turquoise, and I'll do it with the floral. Okay. So what we're going to do, same thing, is we are going to brayer. I clean these, so. But if you've been around, I use this one with my art crayons, and we did some beautiful things with this. I love embossing folders. You can make some really incredible art with them. So if you have not added any of these into your creative toolbox, it's definitely a fun thing to add, and then just decide how you want to use them so you know what kind of pattern to look at grabbing. So I'm going to put this on the front and back. Let's do a two-sider. Okay, let's do a two-sider. So I am going to load up my brayer with pigment ink. Pardon me, with white. Yeah, this is pigment ink. Okay. And then let's, ooh, can you see it? Look how pretty that is. So I'm going to do the front and the back just so we can decide which side we like better. Watch too, because your surface might not be flat. So it might be worth your while. I like where some of that is not as dark, that it just kind of looks partial pigment. I'll wipe that. Let's put our paper in. You could just take your baby wipe too and just give it a rub if you want to do that. If you're concerned that your paper might tear. And then gently, because if you move it, your pattern is going to move as well. So I did not put that on very square. So let's hope that I can actually close my folder. Don't do what Vicky did. I just moved it. So well, let's see what we got, because we can always make another one. Did you watch that? I totally moved the paper. So we'll see. Is this going to be good, or did I ruin the whole thing? We don't quit. So we'll see what we get. I moved it. When I put the paper on, I did not line that up very well. My favorite is that I'm like, don't move the paper. And the first thing I did is move it. It is very hard to roll these through in front of you guys. So just give me a second. What would Vicky do? Remember that? Yeah, don't do that. What would Vicky do? But don't do what Vicky just did because she moved her paper. But hopefully it's only going to mess up one side, I think. But look at, and my embossing folder was dirty. So look at that magic that just happened. Oh, I love this. Didn't ruin it. It didn't ruin it. How fun is this? But now that gives me an idea. Let's do the next one from the idea. Oh, I love that. Hello, Natalie. How are you? My friend Natalie May is here. For my friends in Australia, I'll be teaching at Natalie's store or with Natalie at a venue next, what is it? In October, November area, right? Or time. I love it. So let's try to mess around with what just happened there. So you're going to need 2 brayers then for that, or clean your brayer in between. So this is the one I use, the white. I'm going to do the white last with a totally clean brayer so I don't mess that up. I'm going to give this a wipe so I don't contaminate my ink pad. But I would like to do hints of that green. It was paint that was on this. But now I want to try to duplicate the boo-boo that just happened. There we go. Give it a wipe. So what am I going to do? Oh, let's do it with this island one. Okay. Remember what I just said? The hints of the green were paint. So if we go in with ink, you're not going to see it as much. Let's do both. Okay, so let's go in with the island. And why the ink why wouldn't you see the ink as much is because it's translucent and paint is more opaque, right? So I'm just going to bounce some areas with this. And then we're going to put the white on top of it. Now, guess what's going to happen? If I work the same area a lot with the brayer, I am going to end up getting just like a mint color. Well, let's see what happens. Yeah, you could go in and try applying with foam blender. Sure you could. I just don't know if you would get as much pigment and as even. But I say try it, right? But this is wet on the plate. The other magic happened, I think, because, oh, that's the wrong brayer. Just almost see me do that. That paint was dry. And I think it's just the dampness on the cardstock actually gave me that cool effect. So I won't be able to, unless I clean between, reload this brayer a lot on the white pigment ink. So I need to get a good application down in one fell swoop. Okay. Do you see that? Oh, you could print that and get some really fun technique. So let's see. I'm going to clean my brayer. And brayer some of that white on. Because I don't want to cross-contaminate, right? So I just want some more white on that one. But I want true white and then the mint. So let's see what we get. Let's give it a shot, right? Just a piece of paper in our time. And then we'll clean everything up. I'm going to put it on the dark blue again. I want to see. Let's see what we get. Just this time, I'm going to be a little bit more careful. And I don't Oop, wet one side and a little bit on the other side. And what are we going to do? Be way more careful lining up our cardstock. Okay. Good. Let's see what we get. So I don't know if that island is going to show up on here because it's transparent. It would show up on the white, but I don't know if we would need then the white ink, right? But let's see what we get. Any questions so far, friends? Is anybody trying this with me? Okay, slowly going to roll that, holding my plate down with palm, my hand. Oh, I can't wait to see the reveal. So we're going to do this twice. We're going to do this with acrylic paint as well as the ink. So let's see what we get. So guess what you can't see? Can't see the ink, right? It's kind of lost, but it's still pretty. But you can't really see the ink. So let's see what happens now if we use paint. What are you struggling with? So I'm going to clean this. Which ink are you not successful with? Like on dark or on white or at all? Let's talk it through because I need more details so I can give you suggestions on what to try. Yeah, so Kristen is using coordinations and getting 2 for 1 because when she is putting it through the embossing folder, coordinations has a different colored core to the paper, right? Oxide might work because it's got pigment in it. It could, definitely could. Let's try it because I have that here too, but I need a different color than what I pulled. Let's pull a green, a very bright one. I thought I pulled a bright green. I did, didn't I? Let's try the citron. Okay, let's try. And that one I just rubbed right on there because I'm just trying to deposit some ink quick. And now let's go in with the pigment. And you have to have pigment ink or this won't work. But you don't have to be using white. You could be using metallic or whatever you have, right? Okay, gonna clean that up a bit because there's green on it, right? And I can't put it back on my pad or I will contaminate it. Well, you take care of yourself, Nicole. It just depends on what kind of pigment ink are you using, Mary Ellen? Because not all ink is created equally either. Some whites are going to work a lot better. Cleaning that off. I want some more white on there. So we went in because the suggestion was, what will happen if we use oxides, right? Because it is a combo ink. So it has more opacity to it. So we used a dye ink. You couldn't see it at all. So what happens when we go in with a little bit of oxide? Let's try it and see. Okay, here we go. So let's take that dark cardstock. I'm going to just add a little bit of moisture with a wipe, just using a wipe. And we are going to gently place that in the folder. Sandwich it. So you could do all kinds of things. You could say, what happens when I missed the folder? And then make that embossing or that oxide ink start moving around. Give it a try. See if you like it. Why do you need dye ink with the oxide? Well, I just used pigment with the oxide. That was pigment with the oxide. We were trying the dye with the pigment ink and we didn't get any color, right? Because it's translucent. Now, if we were using it on white, it would have been fine. It's because it's on a darker color that we're getting a different effect. But let's see now when we use some oxide ink, which has, oh, we got a hint of it, didn't we? Can you see it in there? Very pretty. Can you see that? So it definitely shows up on this one. But now I feel like I want to show you why I love the paints. I want to show you why I love the paints. Just a piece of paper and your time, right? So I really find, and I'll tell you this, I could tell you lots of things. I could share lots of information with you. It doesn't click until you actually do it yourself. Like, I really, really believe that. Like, you can ask me a question, I can explain, and you go, okay, I kind of think I get it. And then you pull out pigment ink and you run it through and you see the results that you get. You pull out oxides, which are a combo of dye and pigment, and you see what you get. And then you pull out a dye ink and you see what you get. I don't think I repeated that right. I think that was right, the right combination. I said dye, I said pigment, dye, and then oxide, which is a combo of both, right? But I want to show you now with some acrylic paint. Okay, so let's see what white, we'll just use the plain old white acrylic is going to look like on here. Remembering, whoops, that it will dry fairly quickly, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of that down. And so this is not watered down. I'm using the full-on paint. Will it muck up your folders? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. You only want to kiss it too, because if you go on too heavy or too thick, you could get it into the areas that maybe you don't want to have paint. So I will clean it up quickly. And let's move. Remember, got to move. Let's try it on the other half. And we can wet it a little. Because I'm running out of time, I don't want it to dry. I'm not taking my time with the wetting. And we're just going to put it on there. Let's put some on the other side so you can see the double-sider. You don't want it to dry, so you can't go and answer the phone now. You have to move. Here, okay? Because if it dries, it will glue to your folder. So this is pure acrylic paint. It is a heavier body. We will see what result we get with this. We'll see what result we get with a fluid acrylic. So that is, it's pretty similar, wouldn't you say? You have a little bit whiter. It's a little brighter. So the acrylic will be a little bit brighter. But I want to show you now with the fluid acrylics, okay? And I'm going to go back to white. I'm going to wipe this quickly and we'll go to a different folder. Any questions as we're going here while I'm cleaning? But you see, the paint requires a little bit more elbow grease than the other mediums. Okay, give it a wipe. Clean off your brayer. I like to wipe as much paint off with my paper towel and then go in with wet, so I'm not reconstituting all of that. Well, Pam, you know I'll always be here for a while, so it's not like you show up and you're like, she's done already. No, I am always here. Okay. So let's look at what we've got here. So that is with our acrylic, and that was with the pigment, white pigment ink, acrylic and white pigment ink. So it's a little bit more opaque. This one was with some of the oxide, green oxide ink, and then the white pigment ink, and you get this kind of two-tone, which I really dig in. I think you guys can see that. This was when the paint just kind of happened, which I really love, right? The paint that was left on my dirty stencil. And I love when you get kind of those broken effects. And that's the other side, right? We have some different things going on. So let's see with the paint. And I'm going to do it as well with this. Yeah, I love it. It was really, really, the effects are really, really fun. So, okay, Vicky, there we go. So we have cobalt turquoise. We have this primary cyan. We have a black, carbon black, and I haven't opened this one yet, but I think I used it. So maybe I didn't. So now I got to figure out what green I used earlier. I'm going to get up, look at my paint wall. Oh, here's one open. I think it's the same one. Green gold, this one is called. So we don't need much. This is the fluid acrylics. These are the fluid acrylics. So you will see, right? The consistency, look, is fairly light. So it is very easy to apply, right? I'll apply to both sides. Oh, I'm going to do that where I put hardly any on there, and let's see what we get. I'm wiping it up just because I don't have a lot of working space. And let's see what we get. I want a bigger piece because I really like that pattern. This is foundations, so I'm going to go in dry first, okay? Let's see what happens when we go in dry. And let's just hope the paint is wet enough that it's actually going to transfer. Because I put such a light layer on, right? Hello, Simon Hurley. How are you, my friend? So let's see what we get with the fluid acrylics. Okay, gonna hold it down because, right, running this live. Ugh. Get my pipes in there. Ugh, getting big, huge muscles. There we go. Who knew tonight we get a workout and make some art? Let's see the reveal. Oh, I think it's going to be good. It's gonna be, oh, I love it so much. I could cry. So look at, that's on the positive side. Oh, look at that. I guess that's the positive side. But do you see that? Because I didn't go really heavy with the paints, right? I love the paint. So this is what ended up happening when I was playing. I'm not going to clean this off. Let's see if we put a different color on, if we can pick some of that green up. So I won't do black just yet, but let's try it, okay? So I am going to put just down a little bit of the primary cyan. So go ahead, if you have acrylics, you can try this. Like I said, you can't really water down your acrylics with water. You are better off if you have like an medium that kind of extends your paint, but give it a try. Use what you have, right? So I'm going to do just let's see what we get. Okay. And wipe it up. I'm going to mist my paper this time so that we can bring that green paint back to life. See what we get. So I'm going to do it on the other half. Do it on the other half. So let's bring the paper to life with a little bit of water, putting the water on, but I'm going to wipe it off with a wipe so we don't have pools of wet. It's just a wet, this is foundation, so you know it's going to work with the water well. Like it won't super buckle right away. Let's try that. So let's see what we get. See what we get. So Simon, we are doing something fun. So I wrote a book back in 2011. It was 2010, but I did have to reference that song because that just made me think of that song. And one of my techniques was faux letterpress printing. So we did this technique in my book from 2010, and we are revisiting. Sorry, friends. It's thick with the foundations paper. We are revisiting techniques from Creative Foundations. And tonight is all about, let's just try it and see what happens. Oh, so see, we got some hints. So see, it's sticking. So get it off there quick. But look at that. Fun, fun. Let's see what happens now. Can we reactivate some of this paint? If we put a lot of water in here and put that thinner cardstock in, what will we get? I don't know. Let's try and see. Yeah, right. It is one of those dealios that I've been around for a long time. But yes, this was huge. Think about this, right? This technique, like I said, if you do a deep dive into faux letterpress, inking or painting on embossing folders, there are tons and tons of videos on this. Yes, Simon's in the house. I love Simon Hurley. I'm going to run this through twice, friends, because what I'm trying to do is get the remaining ink off of the folder to get some really fun techniques. And this, did you see how easy it went through? Because it is thinner cardstock. So we didn't get much. I was hoping, but it's not going to release for us. But did we get, no, nothing really. It's done. It's dry. I love that though. I wish we could have got more of it off. But it's okay. I will still use this, right, with the hints. So let's set it aside to dry. Put this one in the sink. So give me 1 second, friends, because I need to get the paint off a little bit. When you are doing mixed media techniques with some of your tools, some of them you are not going to get clean again. Especially acrylic paint. If you don't clean it right away. So I'm just trying to get some of this off so we can still use this folder in my sink. Okay, I'm coming back. But if I didn't get some of that off, right, then we'd just be having to keep that on there forever. So that is the joy of playing with acrylics. Now, you'll have some people who are totally don't care. That paint will stay on there. They love it. It makes them feel like they throw their creative or create with abandon. I have control issues, so I do clean all of my things, right? I need a few brayers. It is not a bad thing. A brayer is something, right, that you, I don't know, let's look over here. I don't know, about 15 brayers, all different sizes. I do a lot of gel plate printing. I've done printing and playing with these mediums forever. So I feel like they are your friend, right? They are your friend. So what did we do? What have we done? Where's that page? So loving that, right? With the paint, you get a whole different effect. And we can go, if you want like a really clean effect, you can do that too. Let's go in with this lovely old Tim Holtz folder. And let's try I'm going to go with the black. Yeah, I have a lot of brayers, but also, right, I teach classes. So I bought a whole set of, I don't know, 20 of them when I was doing gel plate class in person. So with that being said, a lot of them are from that stash. So let's go in with the light blue and with white. Don't need much, right, with black, right? And you have your two different sides of the folder. I'm going to put ink on both. I'm going to ink up both sides. Make sure my brayer is somewhat clean. Okay. Oop, there was too much paint on my brayer. That's okay. So it's going to bleed through in that one section, and we're just going to go with it. Because I can't clean it out now. It is in there. But we'll just go with it, right? These things happen. It's all up in there. Let's go in with this one. I'm going to mist it. Put it down. Doo-doo. Let's see what that big juicy mess makes. Let's see what that big juicy mess makes. Yeah, you got to make sure, I guess, that you dry it out. But oh my goodness, Nicole, right? She's saying that her Big Shot rusted. And if you guys go and check out Simon's YouTube videos, he did a whole bunch using his mediums, right? Oh, I actually like it though. I think Natalie will love that one. Look how fun. And then it's very subtle on that side. Totally digging it. I love the black on the colored cardstock. Look at just the hint of it. So we could still go on here and pick up some of the raised bits with our ink blending tool later. But I love that. Totally digging that one, Nat. I am on the Team black paint, black ink. Fun results, right? So now let's take a minute. I do too. Because look at that was like a Trina, why I love that one is all you need is a piece of colored cardstock. You didn't have to do crazy painting or anything. It was just black. And you ended up with a really, really fun technique. So totally digging that. Okay. 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 Let's see what happens. Can we get any of that off if we wet it? Let's wet it. I don't think we're going to get anything off, though. It's dry. It's acrylic, so it's not like you could bring it back to life. You know what I mean? So I will definitely give this a clean later, but let's see what happens. Let's see if we can activate that dark by putting another shade in. Let's put some of the green on. Hi, Lorena. And see what happens. When we put it on, if it will activate any of that black. Oops. I think he's making a mess now. But that's fun. That's a fun part. I will wipe it off once I put it in put the paper in. Okay. Let's see what we get from this guy. I am going to wet it on this side. I'm going to put a lot of water in there. Let's see what we get. Will it get kind of watercolory? I don't know. We shall see. Wipe the folder off because I did drag it through paint. What is going to happen when I put all that water on there? Gold is nice. I did use some gold. Let's pull some, Diane. That's because Simon is here. Let's pull some of his mediums. I don't know if he's still here. He might have left. It is Friday night after all. Simon might have plans, do fun things. Are you doing anything fun, Simon? Did you leave? Oh, I love that. So it picked up some of the gently. I love that, friends. Simon does not have a life. You do, though. You're here with us, but I hear you, my friend. That is Simon does not have a life. I love that. Let me grab something fun. And I'm putting some water in my sink because this sucker is going to have a little scrubber. Okay. So let's grab my lunar paste. So I have a bin of lunar paste. Let's go in with the slippery when wet. Let's see. So like I said, I'm running out of real estate. My friend Simon has a ton of amazing videos, short videos, long videos, any kind of video you want to see using his amazing product. And he uses it on stamps. He uses it on embossing folders, right? I love it. So let's decide what, oh, this could be fun. And let's do it on colored cardstock. I have a lot of this color left. So I'm going to brayer it. I'm going to do it on here. Watch this. I'm going to brayer it on. And it is a heavier medium. So you could brayer it onto the positive or the negative, the full background. So let's do both. We'll start with this one. So again, it's heavier. You could rub it on with your finger. I'm going to brayer it. I'm going to work through my process here. So I'm going to put a very thin layer down of this yummy deliciousness. So there's paint on here. Let's see. I might pick some of that paint up. I might not. We'll see. Okay. So I'm going to go on very lightly and try to get it on the leaf without, well, some of it's going to go in the background and we're just going to go with it, right? We're just going to go with it. It will look a little distressed. Okay, let's work fast. I'm going to give it a little help. I love my lunar pace. I love my friend Simon Hurley. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to be very subtle, but we will see what happens. But we're going to do the positive and the negative. And you might even want to put a little shim in. Like, I don't know if I'm getting enough pressure, but we'll see, right? Because that's what Friday nights are about. It's not only for fighting. It is for making the arts. Ooh, look at friends. And got to move quick or it's going to glue to the folder, right? Oh my goodness. Are you ready? Are you ready for the reveal? Look at that deliciousness. I love it. Look at. So magic just happened right before our eyes. This is going to be a beautiful highlighty area, right? So the whole key is using the medium in a very light application. So here we go. Let's do the other side of the folder. So that, right, was the raised bit. Let's see what happens when the whole background is going to be gold and the turquoise is going to be the leaves. So less is more, friends. You don't want too much of this medium. You need to move fast because it is a heavy body medium. If you don't, you're going to glue your paper to your embossing folder, okay? So these are the things you need to remember. I don't think wetting the paper is a bad idea because it will work as a releasing agent. But what do we need to do? Work fast. So here we go. Gonna layer this on and we're gonna move super quick. Speed of lightning. Put it on the right side, Vicki. Okay, let's get that down. Oh, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna blow your mind. Didn't I blow your mind this time? Didn't I? Releasing agent. Putting it in the folder. Quick, quick, quick. I don't know why this turned into Schoolhouse Rocks, but sandwich, move fast, fast, or it will glue. It will glue, friends. So you're applying pressure to a sticky, heavier based medium. If you don't move fast, it will glue. Okay, here we go. Ready? Here we go. Look how pretty that side is. Ready for the reveal? So now you have, that is, let's try this on a darker color. Do you see? I love that. It's very subtle. This one's very subtle. But we can totally go in here with some ink and to the raised bits. But I'm loving this side. Woo! Let's try a different pattern and clean your stencil right away too. Don't mess around. But it's coming off. It's coming off quickly because you're not leaving it for a week. Don't leave it for a week. Okay? So things we can do. Things that make you go, So I feel like if we put it on a darker background, oh, look at this. I want to try that one that I feel like was a failure, but it doesn't have to be. So let's try doing the solid bit again. And I'm only going to do like the one side because, right, we only have a strip. So I'm going to add some more. I'm going to put it on a little bit thicker. Okay. Let's try it. Let's try it. So we're going to apply a couple layers. Okay. Right side. Yep. Apply one layer, two layer. Let's see what happens. 3 layer. Now this is when I wish I had my Q-tips. So I'm going to try to clean out that inside a little bit, and then I'll put another layer on because I have all gold inside my leaves. Because my desk is not actually very flat, I realized today. So if I had a Q-tip, I could do that prettier, but I don't. Okay, so we will pretend it's not a hot mess. Let's try it on the dark. I'm going to try water a little bit on here this time. What's that going to do? We shall see. I'm using the smooth side of my, I'm doing both sides too. Wet the paper, wet the medium, put it down. Okay. Let's see what happens. It's not on straight. So we'll pretend that it is, but it is not. Let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. I would love that, Simon. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, on the darker cardstock. Look at that. See the flecks on there? It looks like an ancient piece of art. It's hard. I got to catch the light. Can you guys see it? There. Metallic. So hard. Can you see that? So pretty. Okay. So what are we learning? This embossing folder is not thick enough to get you a real detailed one on that side, but this side is beautiful. We'll make a card out of this one for sure. Okay. Okay. I feel like I can't be done with this. Let's try black cardstock. Where is it? Here's some black cardstock. Let's find a different pattern. What do we have? Oh, it's hot in here. Let's do this one. It's hot in here. See, if I had Natalie's bin, she said she had a whole bin of Ulta New embossing folders. I could use something different, but I have a limited selection. Because I'm not really predominantly a card maker, right? So I'm definitely more into cards than I was before, but because the size of these is small, as a larger art maker, I haven't bought a ton of. I'm going to reconstitute this and make it a gold like watercolor. And we're going to see what we get now. Okay, let's put our lids on. We don't like our mediums to dry out. And let's go into this pattern, which is kind of these funky circles. And let's see what we get. And I'm going to do it on both sides again. I know Ulta New folders are pretty. I just wish that I could get really big folders. I would like that. Back in the day, right, when those huge die cutting machines. Okay, see that? We're going to pretend that because this is wet, that didn't all just go into the embossing folder, but it did. Okay, let's see what we get now with this. Vicky doesn't have enough real estate. And I'm running out of space. So let's wet that black cardstock, and it's just cheap cardstock, right? It's thin. So you could play with, ooh, that's 2 sheets too. I love that dark blue one. That is kind of the bomb.com. Let's put that in there and see what we get. As long as it doesn't dry on us too quickly, right? Very fun. These are my favorite nights on Friday Night Live, is literally experimenting. Like, what are we going to get? What result are we going to get? I have it. Do they have big Spellbinders embossing folders? Are quite large. 6 by 9. I'm going to have to do some shopping. Okay, let's see. Oh, I think you guys are going to like this one. Look at that on the black, and it was like a watercolor. Can you see it? How fun is that? Let's see the other side. Oh my goodness. Look at that. What do you guys think? Everybody likes sparkle, right? So these ones are kind of freaking awesome. Let's see now if we take what is left on that folder and put in, clean up my brayer. And then I'm going to mist on this. Is there anything left on this? So I want to put some pigment down with it. Hello, Valerie. I know the Pace are awesome. I love these. Like, you know, I used to use my gold glaze all the time. It is no longer a thing. So I am most definitely happy that we have this. This is my go-to metallic-y texture paste. Love it. Love it. What do we want to do with that? The green? No, let's go in. Let's see what happens with the cyan. Will we get any of that on the black? I don't know. Let's try. All right. Do you guys want me to see what happened? Oh my goodness. We're going to do it on white. I asked the question and then I made my own decision when I saw what was happening on this folder. That I feel like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm putting some green on here. We're going to do a 2-toner. Let's see what we get. And it's going on white. It's going on white. But we're going to make turquoise. Okay. So let's grab some paper foundations. I'm not going to wet it. And let's see what we get. Oh, look at it. And there could be a hint. What I'm hoping is there's a hint of gold still in there as well. Try not to move that around too much. Could you use distress watercolor pencils? Definitely. Definitely. I think, well, they're pretty hard, so you could try. Maybe the crayons would work better. Oh, look at that. And there's hints of gold around the edges. Oh, I love that. Love that. Okay, let's pull out a different folder. What is that one? Mine. Because look at what we've made. Look at what we've made. I love this one. Like, love that one. with the softer and subtler pattern. Throwing this in the sink so I don't have to deal with it. The sink that is empty. Okay. My sink stopper is not working very well. The water drains out when I don't want it to drain out. Okay, I would like to show you a few more things. Any questions things you want me to try while you have me here? So we know, yes, when you asked if lunar paste would work, 100% they do beautifully. You can use them as a heavier body, or you could water it down and use them more like a beautiful metallic watercolor. Okay, love that. I'm glad Simon came and visited us tonight. So we pulled those out and tried them because that's what we do. Because I know if you're a collector of fine crafting products and art products, the thing we have to remember is to pull them out and use them. So I am of the school when you say, will this work? I say, I don't know. Let's try it, right? You should try all of those things. You should try all of the things because what's it going to do? It's not going to break anything. So look at it, did leak out. I do have gold all over, but that is all good. That's why I have a couple of these. This one though, look at this card. I'm going to for sure make a card out of that right away because I love that. I'll take a picture so you guys can see it. Who makes the white mat? This one is American Crafts. How would your VB glaze work with this method? It'll do the exact same thing, Lorraine. Which one do you want me to try? Do you want me to try the small set of the metallics? If I can find one quickly, because I did not pull that out. They will work. The makeup of the two is different, but it's the same idea. It's going to be like a thick metallic paint. So it will definitely work. Oh, here. Let's do a pink. So here's this one. Right? Bubblegum. Let's do that quick. Let's do it quick. Polka dots. Okay. We'll do the same jam. Same thing. So different, but similar. And it is not gold. It's just going to be a pink metallic, right? So let's try it on the black because, of course, the black with metallics is going to be your biggest wow because the reflective nature and the contrast. So let's just roll that out. Going to put it on both sides of the ooh. What would happen if those Simon's metallics, his lunar paste, and this old Vicky one went to a party? You could have a beautiful rose gold with those two colors. So if you own that and you have Simon's slippery when wet, you could make a beautiful rose gold. I'm wetting it just in case these dry fast. At least we have a little bit of playtime. If we wet the medium, it might make it leak all over the place. I don't know. I didn't put very much on there. So we'll see what happens. And that color, you're always, and two, going to get one of the most vibrant effects with the gold. You can never, ever go wrong with every type of gold medium that you can buy. Gold inks, gold texture paste, gold paint is a favorite. I don't know if I put enough on here. We'll see. Are we going to get any kind of effect? Don't know, but let's try it because you asked. Ooh, it's pretty, but very subtle. because I didn't put very much on there. So look at, oh, it looks almost like powder pink, and it is metallic, right? So when it dries, but there wasn't very much on there. So it's very subtle, but when this dries, I'll show you something. I will show you something. So let's clean that up. What were we going to do? I wanted to show you something. Okay, this is one of the things I wanted to show you. This cleans up pretty easy too. So you don't say you don't have Simon's Lunar Paste, you don't have Vicky's, but you have a different one from a different manufacturer. Try it. Give it a try. I would have to say that you're going to get some kind of result out of it, right? You'll get some kind of result. It's definitely worth trying, right? But what do we have? Okay. So that gives you the gist, right? So the other thing that I noticed through my play tonight was this. I'm going to sit down and let's look at some of the things we made, because didn't that feel like it just kind of flew by, right? So let's look at our results. This is so pretty on there. So yes, if you have my old gold creative foundation, creative effects, you could use that. If you have the unicorn tears, right? Happy unicorn tears, the iridescent, go ahead, try it. You need to put it on darker medium or paper. If you don't, then you're not going to get much of an effect. Okay, good. Vicky wiped up a little bit, and now I can show you the things. Okay, so that's just wet. We didn't do anything with that. Okay, here we go. I love this one. I really want you guys, can you see that? So that was with the lunar paste, right? And that, the little flecks, because parts of it went on there, and when we added the paper wet, really turned out beautifully. Here it is on the lighter Tiffany kind of blue with a gold. Look how pretty, right? And that is when we used it on the opposite side. And I'm going to show you something. I'm hoping we can get it. And that's just what that embossing folder looks like too. On the black, right? On the black, very pretty. We did a mix of the fluid acrylics and then lots of water. So you got a really kind of grungy look. I love that. I love this one. And it was very clean and easy to do. And this was where we added the oxide ink to the background, stamped on it, and then put it through the folder with the black ink, black soot on the other side. So just the polka dots with the inked bit showed through. All these different effects, right? So I want to show you something. Oh, and with our whites, we have all these still. That's where that folder went that I couldn't find. Look at with the black. Love that. So lots of fun things. This I'm keeping aside. I'm making a card out of that for sure. And now I want to show you something with my Distress inks. Now, they need to be oxide or these won't show up on, I just think the oxides for this one actually work better than the dye inks, okay? So that's just stained. It's not actually going to transfer. So let's pick a color. I will do something on that. I'm going to do something on this. And let's pick a white one too. I didn't do a lot in white, did I? the first one. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff I'll clean. Okay, I'm going to do on this one. So now let's pick a nice contrasting color. Let's see. I'm going to try the Uncharted Mariner with this one. Now, you need to be careful. Oh, look at that. So you are going to have a much messier appearance, right? With the Distress ink in the brayer, because this is very porous paper. It's going to soak right in. So it's going to be this kind of really distressy look, right? Yes, they are. The glazes are water-based. We wouldn't be, if they weren't, we couldn't even wipe them off this stuff, right? Unless we had a cleaner. Let's go into with a lighter color. Let's try that on this side. I just cleaned my brayer off. Very fun, right? So you can take and add some pattern to that, or some pigment. Same with the raised ones, but let's get something that really contrasts these colors, okay, with the white and stuff. So I'm going to find like a lighter pink or something just to show you. But I go in with the ink because I don't want it to bleed in there, right? So I'm going to show you the two sides when you use a blending tool and when you use a brayer. Actually, I'll show it on this one. So let's go in with a brayer or ink blending tool and something that will look really pretty with that. I have a thing for abandoned coral. I have a thing for abandoned coral, and it's already on here. You should see the mess. When you guys craft, does it look like a crafting bomb went off? Because that is what's happening in my space currently. So this is the raised side, right? Oh, so different things you could do. Could you go right in here and let's see what happens when we just rub. So you could totally do that, right? So now we're going to have those three colors represented on here. The blending tool is going to be hard because you need to keep that rounded surface from not going into your areas, but you get a much softer appearance, right? You just got to keep it light and go back and layer it on. So that is another thing that you could do to add another color on there, right? Let me show you here. So you got to watch, right? Because it is going to go into some of those recessed areas because this is not a super deep embossing folder, but I'm still digging the look. So very soft. When you go in with the pad, you are going to get more pigment. But look at that. Can you see it? I don't know if the camera picks the details up, so I'll make sure I photograph that. So one more, I'm going to try it on here because I think that's going to be really pretty. Oh yeah. And you'll see contrast. So again, very lightly rubbing it on here. Otherwise it's going to go and contaminate all that green. And that gives you kind of this really fun raised bit. Now I'm doing this just to show you guys, but to be honest with you, for our purposes, remember what I said at the beginning of this, you really want the monochromatics. You don't want to put the rainbow on everything. So I'm showing you that's an option, but to be honest with you, I want these sides. Like I will keep it for this. Oh my goodness, look at that. Bam. Look at how that shows up on the camera. This is when a little bit of that black stayed behind. But when we're layering mixed media and layering different patterns and textures, do you see the difference with that? Like those contrasty bits, when you layer, are going to be magic. Look. So this is what I wanted to remind you. Don't look at everything as a finished piece. Look at it as supporting cast, right? Like you want to see how these are all going to layer together. So you should be okay with using one color, a little bit of black in there, a little bit of white. But if you make everything a rainbow, it makes it a little harder when you go to layer it. Like to me, that's a lot of business going on. You want supporting cast because when we look at this, I don't want you to think of this as your finished piece. It's not your finished piece. These are the pieces we're going to layer and make beautiful art with. So you really want no more than that kind of business. No more than that kind of business. If you put too much, it is just a hot mess and nothing stands out and sings as like its own piece. This is so pretty with the slippery when wet, right? Lunar paste on this Tiffany blue cardstock. Beautiful, right? Will you share with us your end products? We're going to do them together, Megan, right? This is a whole month that we're going to make all of our backgrounds. And then I think next month should be making projects out of it. So isn't that exciting? Our goal for this whole month will be do the homework, do the things, do it in different color palettes, do a lot of monochromatic, very simple color palettes, but it can be the whole rainbow, but then just play with purple. Let's see how purple and the white and the gold work, a little bit of black, 2 shades of purple. But I want you to keep everything very clean with your application. So when we go to layer these and do, we're going to cut things out of it. We're going to die cut out of it. We're going to make titles. You just wait. And if you have the faith in me when I'm saying, just do what I say. Just have the faith when I say, just do what I say. I know where we're going with it. Just kind of buckle up, right? But look at that magic. That was just cleaning the plate, cleaning the embossing folder, right? I missed the beginning. Did you show last week's finished papers? I did, Brenda. And they're the rainbow. They are like Skittles vomited all over some of those just to show you the effect and to get you guys hooked last week. I will go back and do some of the smooshing technique in monochromatics because it's going to be so much fun. So when we look at what we made tonight, right? We learn lots because we play with different mediums. We have different results, right? Like, look at that. Oh, I love this. So can you imagine die cutting a butterfly out of it? How fun is that? So somebody had asked, I don't know if they're still here, what will happen when we use a a die and cut out of these patterns, will the patterns go away? Well, with the techniques that we did, even if it flattened out, it wouldn't matter. Like, imagine taking this and ironing it. So that pattern is no longer textured. That's a technique in the making, isn't it? So like, right, I played with some of these and put colors on them, but I don't really want that. I want more of this. So you could do where, remember where we added pigment and then put a darker pigment on top to run it through the embossing folder? That is definitely doable, but we want more of just simple white uncolored cardstock. Like, look at, you want that, because that's when we go to layer, because we still can stamp on top of this, we can stencil on top of this, we can tear it, we can die cut it, we can do some really awesome things. Like, these are pretty. That I don't mind. That's because it's, I find bam and bam, it's not blended to make a new color. It is very high contrast, and I think that worked beautifully. So let's get a die and cut out one of these to see how flat it will go when we cut out of, like, look at, and that was just the pigment ink on a dark purple pigment ink on the turquoise, and then I got this darker purple. So really, like, look at, when you're done, will you have a huge stack of things? Yes, you will. And that's totally okay, because you can make how many cards? I don't know if my friend Karen Dunbrook is out there. She's a card maker who uses the gel plate stuff we do, all of these techniques to make cards. She might not be here because she runs a daycare and she's usually wiped out on Friday nights, but she uses all of these to make the most beautiful cards. So you can use all of this to do a background. Imagine, we can just cut squares and sew on it, and there's a base for a layout. That's a base for a card. I love it. How can I dilute the thicker acrylic paint to use with these techniques? Did you see, Lorraine? I used it. A little bit of water. But if you go in, you can find like pouring mediums. Let's see what I have around here, that a lot of stuff is not right here in my room. But show you mediums that you can use. Extender. You could use your gel mediums. Like anything that is a acrylic base, you could mix with your acrylic paints. So you could use, remember last week we used this? You could use matte acrylic gel. It's going to be better than water, but pouring medium, whatever you have, right? That's more like a fluid medium. You totally could use, but this, a little bit of water. But remember, you got to work fast with those mediums because they will glue to your embossing folder. So I'm going to get a die, and let's cut one of these backgrounds to see what it'll look like, how flat it will go. So let me just grab something out of my cabinet over here. Ooh, look it. Let's do this. I have so much stuff to add to my story. You guys probably own these, but I have like 10 or 12 of these feather dies that I need to add. But these are the kind of things Vicky buys when she buys dies. I want simple shapes. Simple shapes, because guess where all my my beautifulness is in the backgrounds that we created. So I don't do a lot of the paper piecing dies and stuff, just because it's not the kind of art I make, right? They're beautiful dies, but I like the ones that are big, like open shapes, hearts, flowers, that kind of jam. So I am going to cut some feathers out of some of these. That's what I'm talking about. So this is a little future tripping. So you're going to see where we're going with all of this, because this is one of the things we will be doing is with dies. So I will have these up in the store soon. Let's cut out of this. See what that'll look like. Because I can make another one. Let's do it. So this was just rubbing Distress ink on top. I love it. So let's put that on there and see what we get. Do a couple of them. Oops. It's getting late. Vicky's brain's not working anymore. Let's see, is it going to go through? I'm hoping it will. I'll run it through twice. Oh, I just noticed something. Let's run it through 3 times. My sandwich was not lined up. The lettuce was hanging off of the bread. I'm hoping it doesn't feel like it cut, but we'll see. Oh, maybe. Are you ready? I hope you're ready. 'Cause seriously, this is what I'm talking about. This is contained funk. This is what Vicky is talking about when I say that mix. Oh my gosh, can you see that? I will take a picture of these. So imagine that on a card. And if you cut it out of a couple different backgrounds. So you want to put it on something that is white. Now I have these that look like they're from embossed leather. They seriously, I don't know if you guys can see that. Watch, because it's almost time to flip around and say goodnight. So let me show you. I'm going to take the camera down so I can change the lighting so you guys can see those. I'm telling you, that right here is, I just gave away all the fun. So I don't want you, maybe this will encourage some of you guys to do it. I don't know. But my whole thing now, right, is I just showed you what's going to be coming down the pipeline, is why you need to do the mixed media, because this is the magic that happens. So I'm going to jiggle you and see if I can't show you the details. Sorry, something just fell off. Can you guys see it? I don't know if the light is not the best. I will photograph them so you guys can see it, okay? Earrings, yes, I love that. I totally could make earrings, but can you see the detail on that? I'm not sure, but I will take a photograph of it and I will share it. Flipping the camera, get ready. Doo doo. Hi. So let me fix my light so I don't scare all of you. Oh, like that. Look at, like I said, this is not a pro setup. This is just your buddy Vicky over here making the art. But look at, now you can you see that? Look at that. So yes, they would make beautiful earrings. I love that. Did it flatten it? Not very much, a little bit, because that one was super textured, but can you see? It's still beautiful. Beautiful. And actually, if it flattens it a little bit, it's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing because you're going to use it in your scrapbook and stuff. So just know, trust me, do the things, do different color applications. We have a whole month. So every Friday or Thursday, I'm going to miss the one. Oh, it goes, I think, even further, longer than a month, right? I think it goes a little longer than that. So do the things. And then at the end, we're going to layer it. And you're going to see how some of these techniques will work. We'll do 2 of them. The other thing, don't forget to get, I'm going to stock my store. It's going to be stocked next week. Not everything, but I'll get some stuff up there. And I will add these. If you haven't got one, you want to get yourself a white Crayola. Not a gelato, not my art crayons, a wax crayon or a candle. So one of the techniques that's going to be coming up, we're going to be using crayon resist. I freaking love that technique. We're going to maybe do for some frottage. So you need a white crayon, right? You need a white crayon. I will add them. I found a whole bag of them because, again, I've been doing this technique for how many years is this now, right? 15, something like that. So you definitely want to look for that one. We're going to have so much fun, friends. So play along with what I did tonight. If you have embossing folders and you have a die cutting machine, what medium should you use? Try all of them. Try all of them. Look, when my friend Simon was here tonight, we tried lunar paste and we got amazing results. Because it's always, right? You put metallic on something and everybody will ooh and ah. So if you have anything that is metallic, definitely try it. A wax pencil. What kind of wax pencil, Lorraine? Has to be soft enough, like a crayon. Okay. A candle will work too. Like a softer wax candle will work too. So that was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Even if you weren't sure where we were going to go with it, I think it turned out well. I will try next week to make sure that the mic is on right when I start so that you aren't all like, I can't hear. I hate technological things, right? I always have trouble. Would waxes like Sizzix work for this? Maybe. I don't know because I don't have them. Okay. I am a ding dong, Julianne Bennett. Am I going to see you soon? I would love to. I bet you're not coming to Moncton, are you? I would love that. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Valentine's, Galentine's, just the day of love. If you love your fur baby, if you just love the world, you love Bon Jovi, whatever it is, just enjoy that day. And I will see you next Friday. And I believe my friend Greta is going to be here. So I'm going to be making her do the techniques with me. So it's going to be a lot of fun for as much as she wants to. I don't want to pressure her into it, but thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you next Friday. Make sure you thumbs up the video and that you're liking, following, subscribing, doing all of the things, and that you post in the Vicky Booten Creative Community group page on Facebook. I want to see what you made tonight or tomorrow or whatever you're going to do it this week. So make sure you post so I get to see. And see you later, friends. Thank you so much, as always, for keeping me company on a Friday night. See you later, guys. Bye.